Hi, I'm Dr. Rob Smith, and I'm a performance psychologist in the Boston area. And what that means is I help people improve the quality of their performance in whatever it is that they do. I'm shooting a series of videos on some of the stuff that I've learned over the many years I've been doing this, since 1981 or 2. And I'm going to be covering in this series a number of mental skills that I think are important for performance in sports and life. Now, I've done a couple of basketball videos and another one on the mental task of how do we learn, how do we stay in learning mindset, and I'll refer you to that video if you'd like to learn more about that. But this video is going to include covering the topic of resilience and how do we bounce back from mistakes. And obviously we're going to make mistakes in the way we perform. Anytime, whether it's at the end of a performance or right smack in the middle of it, something happens that we weren't expecting, or that we're our opponents are really working hard and they outperform us in the beginning of a game or beginning of a match, and we get upset. And what happens is, the important thing is, how do you rebound from it? How do you bounce back from it? And sometimes it has to happen quickly, like when a score is accomplished in a game of soccer. They put a great deal of fanfare into the score, and they lord it over the other team. And in basketball, same thing. They do this incredible, chest beating and stuff like that. So what's really important is, if you're the one who just got dunked on, is to not have that intimidate you or make you feel less confident in your abilities to handle the next play. So you just have to be able to jump over, like a tennis player I'm working with right now, it's next point. That's what she has to focus in on. For a baseball player, it's next pitch. What your main goal is, from a mental mechanics standpoint, is something happens, the quicker you can make that shift to the next task, the better. So, as I like to do, I have a little story to kind of illustrate this point. This is a true story. It's actually happened recently. This is 2018, so the Christmas of 2017, one of my clients, who's a mom, shared with me a great story that I thought kind of covered the bones of what I'm just trying to describe. So, this is Christmas morning, and here in New England, it snowed on Christmas. It was beautiful. Look outside. It was gorgeous, and it was kind of a romantic morning. People opening their gifts, had the warm fire going, and in this home that I'm referring to, after about 10, 11 o'clock, the kids were playing with their stuff, and the parents announced to the kids, "Hey guys, we got to put our boots and gloves on because we have to clean the driveway and sidewalk because Grandma, Uncle Joe, and everybody's coming over, and they need to be able to get through." Well, kids grumbled. Well, the 12-year-old boy that was in this group threw a fit. He was upset. "No, I just started my video game." He was all upset about it. How many times we've heard that, right? So, I'll lose all my stuff. I don't want to do that. So, well, the parents, they weren't having it. To their credit, they held their guard. They said, "You know what? We're disappointed in the way you're acting. And by the way, if you don't put your stuff down and come out and help us, we're going to collect all your gifts and we'll box them until you come out and help and do your part." Everybody's going to do their part. It's not unfair. Everyone's doing it. So the kid, kind of feeling up against it, decided begrudgingly to get out there. But while everyone's out there shoveling their part, this kid is sitting in his section, kicking the snow, smacking the shovel, and doing what you could probably visualize would be like his own protest, his own rant. So life was so unfair in his mind, right? He was really trying to grapple with that. When eventually everyone else finished and he's still out there, and the parents said as they walked by, "Okay, let us know when you're done." So they went in, everyone walked inside, and he was out there. And of course the parents would peek outside occasionally, and eventually they would see him finally aggressively shoveling his section. So we have to imagine that in between, he just probably looked up at the sky and saw that, well, it's not going to unsnow. And my parents seem pretty darn sure that they're not going to let me have my gifts until I do this. So it is what it is. And then he pivots to, all right, well, whatever, I got to do it. So we went out there and he did it. So as the kid finished, he walked in, put his shovel down, kicked off his boots in the garage, went in, changed, took a shower, got into some nice comfy clothes, and he came down and had a great Christmas day. And when my client told me that story, I had a beaming smile on my face because I saw in it the bare bones of everyone's journey through a difficult, tough experience, right? And I'm going to put this, so you can see it. It's going to form the acronym READ, R-E-A-D. The first thing that happens when we see something that we don't like, we reject it. We don't like it. R stands for reject. We reject our reality. It stinks, it's unfair, it's hurtful, it's painful, and we don't like it, right? So as a result, the lens that we're looking through tells us that this is not the reality we want. We then experience a set, so the E stands for experience, a set of feelings that are associated with that rejection and with that experience. Now, it's perfectly justifiable that we're going to have this feeling. It's just that we're going through the pain of that rejection of our reality, and we're expressing that pain, whether internally or externally or both, like this boy was with his kicking the snow and so on, and his tantruming. We oftentimes find ourselves kicking the snow when we see something that we don't like, and we react to it. And as this boy did, what happens is eventually we come around to saying, well, it isn't really the way we want it to be, but all the kicking and screaming isn't going to make our reality change. So I must accept and change my reality, or my expectations rather, of that reality, and then begin the process of adapting. So I accept and adapt, right? I have to now say it is what it is, right? May not always like it, or I may not like this, I may never like it, but it is what it is, so I have to accept it. Now what I've done is I start to remove the friction between what is and what I want it to be. And then I go in alignment with it. So now that A helps me get better in a better alignment, and then helps me go about the last letter in the acronym, which is D, dealing with my new reality, right? I deal with it, I do the work. So that's the process, and that's when this boy went out and shoveled snow. And what happened was that sometimes, like, we all have this problem where we're upset, we don't like it, we eventually come around to accepting what we have to accept, and so that we can move on. And that moving on process is the dealing with it part. And that's what I loved about that story, because it really encapsulates all of what we go through as we go through this process of adversity. And resilience means the ability to bounce back from adversity, right? So in a nutshell, if we want to bounce back, the quicker we can get from the RE in this scenario, or this acronym, to the AD, the better. So that's why when I talk about helping athletes or performers shift more quickly to doing it, or to at least accepting it, and you can use a number of different transitions like, oh well, it is what it is, or that's interesting, I didn't expect that, or that's absolutely amazing. And I sound like I'm being a little bit sarcastic, and maybe I am, but at least as I say that, I'm not saying no, or getting super upset. I'm just kind of coming to terms with it. And as I say it's amazing, or you might even see a person on the field or on the court, kind of just go, oh God, and they smile and they laugh it off. But what helps them in the process of shifting is that they are able to kind of release the buildup of tension that comes with rejecting your reality. You don't like it, but you got just let it go. So the quicker you can say, okay, next point. And in basketball, you might grab the ball out of the hoop after it just got slam dunked, or the person made a three-point shot when you played amazing defense, and the guy shot it falling away into the bench, off the court, and he puts an unbelievable shot in. And now you've got to quickly make the adaptation to, all right, what do we do next? We didn't want that to happen, but what do we do next? So that's what an acquaintance of mine, ML Carr, says is the mental mechanics of basketball and mental toughness, is being able to make that quick shift. And you have to practice that. So what I'm going to encourage you to do, if you want to be mentally tough and if you want to have resilience in life and in sport, you have to practice the mental mechanics, making that shift, and not indulge in self-pity, and not hold a grudge against your teammate, against your coach, or against teachers or anything like that, and pointing a finger outside of you, or even at yourself. If you hold a grudge against yourself, you're still going to be punishing yourself, and thereby not going about the business of dealing with and getting better from it. All right, and that's what the basis of my point today is. In order to be resilient, the quicker you can get from the initial reaction to the event, to the process of dealing with it, the better. I wish you the best in your journey to become resilient.